This stream contains fast flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy and other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised.
We are down to our top 4. Today, both former champions go head-to-head, and the winner will go straight to Sunday's grand final. Hello, and welcome to Day 7 of Game Changers Championship 2024, coming to you live from the Riot Games Arena in Berlin, Germany. I'm Mika Fabs on the desk today with Mitch and Mimi. I just realized we're making history right now because this has never happened before.
This desk?
This desk.
M&M.
Oh, triple M.
That's so true.
This is the first time this is happening, so I'm really excited about this.
It's history in the making.
It is. We're gonna make it.
Unlike the games today, which are all just repeats of what has happened before.
Actually, yeah, it does feel like deja vu when you take a look at the bracket and everything, right? Let's talk about what happened yesterday, actually, how we got here, because the Pacific region was up for elimination. I was sweating bullets backstage and everywhere just because this was so chaotic.
This was a brutal game to watch. If you're a fan of Zeta, which is a lot of people after how well they were playing this tournament. But I mean, SRN was out there looking like Shohei Ohtani playing in the Little League. It was unparalleled. Just a completely dominant win for MIBR.
Didn't get that reference at all, but I'm sure it made
Good
sense.
baseball player.
Okay, now I get it.
The best, some would say.
It was tragic. You know, for me, part of the 8.6% of people that believed in Zeta on that run, it is a shame to see them go down. I think especially without a big fight at the end, right? They fell flat, but I think I look at that as MIBR being a big contestant in this tournament.
The second series, though, was an absolute banger. And if you started that second map, it looked like Zipto was out of it. But it's Visa Crew Blaze, and unfortunately, they had their crumble and kind of disappeared out of the rest of that series. It was a really impressive comeback from that Pacific squad, and they've now at least earned themselves back-to-back top 4s, Mika.
And as a result of that, we now have this bracket which looks all too familiar, actually. We're seeing in our upper bracket right now, we see G2 take on Shopify Rebellion, and we're now seeing Sipto, the former SMG core, take on MIBR, which is also a Brazilian team. Where have we seen this happen before, Mimi?
I mean, literally the same as last year. The only difference, TL Brazil instead of MIBR, but it is an exact repeat of before. And even 2 years ago, back in Berlin, it was a different core with Mel and Alexis, but it was basically that same upper final as well.
Yeah, and again, you know, looking at how this upper final is set up right now, I think it's fair to say that Shopify, even in a stronger position than before, they're looking close to flawless coming in here. A couple of close maps here and there, but a scary contestant.
The thing is, though, that thus far, even though everyone has always expected these two cores, SR and G2, to clash in a final, it has never happened before. In the last 2 years, the team that lost this upper final was eliminated in the lower bracket and did not make it through. So I think this game is way more important than people might give it credence, because the competition is quite close to G2 and Shopify.
You're saying there's a little bit of foreboding or foreshadowing going on here in this match, right? Very important indeed, and that brings us to today's Mastercard fan poll. We want to know which team is making a clean run to the grand final. Is it going to be G2 goes in, or is it going to be Shopify Rebellion? Scan the QR code on the screen to cast your vote, and you guys can tell us who you're rooting for with the hashtags of VCT Game Changers and VCT, so that we can feature you on the show. I actually saw one of my tweets there earlier. That's a moment of pride for me there.
Well
that was your big moment?
Yes.
I love that.
You know you're on the screen right now.
Yeah. No, but it's nothing like having your tweet featured on there on the stream. It's a different kind of high. Come on.
Be special.
Come on. But anyway, after GCC ends, G2, Shopify, and other game changers will be heading to Los Angeles for the Spotlight Series Americas. Here is a sneak peek.
Moose is going to stick this one.
There's that drop. Oh my God, Moose! Towards the front. Alexis trying to do everything on her own.
Grabbing himself a weapon now. A series of always comes something around just right above it. Free the lead. A phenomenal round.
Oh my, 4 kills for Mimi. Mimi with the ace.
aqui ao mid. E agora só daí que sai Yuri!
But opening first is MIBR. Fortnite is just way too fast.
Buena por parte de Com que saca la doble.
I absolutely love when you get to see so many players kind of mix it up a bit and you get into like, you know, different kinds of rosters, which is why here at GCC, we've actually tasked the experts, Mimi and Mitch, to draft their own fantasy rosters. And, you know, the very best of the best, I suppose, with you guys. There was only one rule, by the way. You can only pick one player per region, so you don't get to write, you know, just Shopify and like, oh, okay, I'm done.
That was my first idea.
Yeah, that's exactly why we had that
And
rule.
I'm pretty sure
You
that's what
broke
I
it.
did last year.
Yeah,
So
that's why
reason.
we have that rule now, because
Yeah.
you keep doing that, and I have told you several times not
this
to do
time I
it.
followed it though.
Okay.
I have a very honest team. But
Thank you for following indeed. But you know what? Let's have Mitch up first for this. So if you'd like to present your roster.
Okay, well, the first one is an easy pick. Are we going? Oh, we're going all the way through. I mean, obviously, you've got to have Mad V. Mad V's coming in not as a specific role, but as a specific agent. I don't want to see anything but ISO.
Okay.
Fluorescent, one of the strongest players that we've got within the league. I think that's MVP before we even began this tournament in most people's minds, and for good reason. Serena, I mean, the story of Zeta, sitting on that stage in between the maps, dedicating herself to that aim training and bouncing back in a beautiful series. I think that's our Sentinel locked down. Then, of course, we've got Conir and Jelly rounding out the roster. Jelly's had a remarkable tournament. Obviously, he's going to be my support, and Conir has to be our smoke player. I think this is a pretty scary roster for anyone to take on. Maybe there'll be some translation issues, but other than that, I think it's
Who's your
pretty good on the
IGL?
server. I don't know. In this, we can leave it open. Maybe Serena on a Cypher could take it, but I'd go with Conir.
and this guy was a GM.
No, an analyst.
An analyst. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, I see some superstars. I see Floor. I see Jelly. I'm happy about those choices. But I don't know if I saw enough of some of these other players to be fully sold. I think my team would crush this, Mika.
Yeah, and I just want to say, you know, I absolutely love Serena. If you can see, by the way, I didn't notice that she has like cat ears on her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's too cool.
She is. But Serena's IGL, I can see the translation issues just come into full, you know, rearing its ugly head here. So I don't know. Good try, I would say, Mitch. But we'll see.
Thanks.
We'll see. I'm judging
That
him like,
sounded
okay.
so sincere,
That-
Mika, and I really believe
I'm like,
that he did a good
you
job.
did well,
Dude,
okay?
I
You
feel
did
proud.
well. They're
Thank you.
there. But I mean, you do have Floor here, which is already
was a
like
good
a
choice.
massive.
If you don't have
massive
Floor in
W.
yours, we're going to have a
I have
serious
Floor in mine.
conversation.
Okay, all right. Well, let's give the floor to Mimi, quite literally and figuratively.
This is my floor now?
Yes, this is my floor.
Take it home.
This is everybody's floor.
Here we go. Floor, Mimi, Camu, Michaela, Jelly. I'm going to stand back up.
Okay,
And I'm going to
following you.
explain.
Way too
I'm not
scared.
70, I swear. I'm going to explain why this team crushes. First off, I don't
okay.
really need an explanation for Floor. She's fantastic. We need a real leader, someone who can also communicate with the rest of the team, which is Mimi. She has led G2 through so many different iterations, has been there since day one for that roster, and is also just an insane individual. Then we have Camu. I mean, if you watched that game last night, you know how good Camu is. Maybe I'm a little recency biased, but I really believe she's sick, a super skilled initiator player. Then we get our representative from LATAM, Michaela, has also had an outstanding tournament thus far. And you might be asking, that's a lot of initiator players, right? That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 initiator players? A lot of people would say that's too many initiators. I would say, Floor's on the team, don't care. Just
Okay,
feel
yeah.
dumb for her, it'll be fine. We round out the roster with Jelly. That was a wise pick, Mitch.
Thank you.
He's outstanding.
Are you saying your strategy is basically like 4 initiators and 1 duelist? And that's it.
Not
That's
just
how you
any
will.
duelist, though.
Floor.
Fluorescent.
Floor, yes. Floor is actually like a duelist, like in real life.
Yeah, she's. I wouldn't want to duel her.
No, absolutely not. But you know what? I'm actually on board with Mimi's roster.
Thank you.
I'm feeling this a lot more, and I want to say, Mitch, like I think it was a good try, but I just feel like yours was a bit too ambitious. Might need a little bit more time. Maybe like next Game Changers champs?
Like 2 years
Perhaps?
down the road.
Yeah, it needs a little bit more time to
I'll
work.
try to get some orgs
We're
to
trying-
invest. I think we can buy out of contracts. We'll prove it on the
I've
server,
seen
all
the
right?
pitch deck. It's pretty good.
Listen, you got 5 top-tier players. Who needs an IGL? They'll lead themselves to
The
victory.
thing is, we're trying to win right now.
That's worked in the past.
Has.
But yeah, I have to give it to Mimi's roster here. I'm like, okay, 4 initiators, 1 duelist. I feel like we need that kind of chaos on Game Changers.
I heard floor initiators because my
Floor initiators.
yeah.
Floor pill.
I mean,
everything is.
I mean
floor.
that could be the name of your strategy. Sure, why not? But
Love it.
right now we are going to
That's the
get
name of the
into
team. That's our floor initiators esports gaming LLC.
LLC. I love it. You have a plan. We're going to get into today's matchup and actually see how Floor is going to do with the rest of our players. Our upper bracket final. Once again, we've got NA versus EMEA. Is it really VCT without this rivalry? The last teams from the regions, by the way, it is G2 Gozen taking on Shopify Rebellion. And this is one that we've also seen quite a number of times here on the Game Changers Champ stage.
It is indeed. And look, being from EMEA, I'm not too happy about how things have gone in the past. NA, unlike in the early days of Valorant, they are having a field day with some of these rosters. And we always have faith in G2. Not only a long-standing roster going into many different esports, and obviously there's been iterations, there's been changes, even looking back at that last time that they faced off, the rosters have swapped it up. But the reality is, being from EMEA, we know that this team is always capable of pulling out a ridiculous performance, especially now looking at someone like Petra, who's just had game after game where your eyebrows are stuck to the top of your head. It's just a jaw-dropping performance. Again, though, the form that Shopify are on, it's not looking good. That history is going to change this time around.
I mean, thus far, it's been a pretty swift 2-0-2-0 for Shopify to get through this one, whereas G2 Gozen has dropped the first map in both of their series.
Yep.
But I think the biggest difference between these two teams, because they are so similar, the super teams from their respective regions, they have their 2 star duos that have been with the organization since basically the start of the team. But what's different is that this is now Shopify Rebellion's 2nd year as the top dog in North America. They're past that initial development phase. They're very much in the refining the craft, finding new ideas, getting ahead in the meta, doing all of this, where I think we've still seen G2 Gozen kind of finding themselves with the new players, having to bring 3 new members into the fold for this year. And for that reason, I feel like we've seen a Shopify who is just a bit further along in the development, and it's just looked so clean thus far this tournament.
And I think that's a great way to look at it. Realistically, when we talk about the potential of both of these teams, of both of these rosters, I don't think they're separated by a very wide margin. But like you say, time, sticking together, having that synergy is something that you can't just fabricate overnight. And for G2, that will be a challenge taking on Shopify, who are on form. And like you say, they dropped their first map on G2, but also some of those going to the 3rd map, it's been like 13-11. A pistol could swing it either way, and that's not the kind of form that inspires you that they're going to be able to topple an on-form Shopify.
Well, I'm wondering what form they're in today. Ahead of today's rematch, Yinsu caught up with 2 of the GOATs, G2's Mimi and Shopify's Mel. Let's see what they have to say.
We have a generational matchup coming up today. I'm now joined by Mimi from G2 Gozen and Mel from Shopify. Now, you guys are 2 of the GOATs in our scene. You have a lot of history against each other as well. And I wanted to take this moment, to get wholesome and ask you guys, what have you made of the other person's career in esports and what it is about them that makes you respect them as a competitor? I'll start with you, Mel.
I think obviously her longevity, not just in Valorant, but across multiple games is it cannot be understated. But I think what's something that's actually really underrated about Mimi that doesn't really get brought up is the level that she brings her players to that play under her. I think she's really good at developing talent, and I think you can very clearly tell when people play under her, they get better. So she elevates the level of her region just by being there. And I feel like you can see that with Mary and Sarah, coming to this event, but on different teams, but having played under Gozen before.
Mel, you never miss. You never miss. Now, Mimi, how do you follow that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can speak about the obvious with all her titles, but I think one thing for me that's really important is how all her current teammates, past teammates speak about her, how respected she is by them, and how much they admire her out of the server, but also on the server. And for me, that is what a great leader is, and you see that.
You 2 are both the best.
Cry. Can we just talk to each other after this?
All right. I'm going to let them have a moment. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, I love that. That is what Game Changers is about. And you really have to hand it to these two GOATs, right? You have two long-standing duos as well on these two teams going head-to-head. On one side, you have Mimi and Petra. And on the other side, you have Mel and Alexis, which are like basically powerhouse duos all throughout the Game Changers team, Mimi.
Yeah, I mean, Mimi and Petra, they've been playing with each other since even before Valorant. Those two are very much entwined in their careers, but it's the same of Mel and Alexis. They've played every Game Changers event in North America and internationally since even before it was called Game Changers, and they've only ever lost 2 tournaments throughout that. To say they're the GOATs of NA is an absolute understatement. Those two are practically undefeated there.
Yeah, and I think at this point there's really an argument, and maybe this game and the next one could decide it, that they could be the best duo that we've seen internationally as well, the GOATs of the world. And look, both of these teams, both of these duos looking to do something that no one else has. Move through this upper final, take the final, and lift a second trophy in GCC.
What would be so interesting, the difference though, is that if G2 does it, it's, I think, all about Petra and Mimi, and the two of them doing it with a completely different roster
100%.
versus Mel and Alexis, who it would be about them running it back with Shopify and creating a dynasty, not just for the two of them, but for this specific Shopify roster. And I think that's even more important for Mel, because last year you saw in that shot, she had COVID. She wasn't with her team to lift that trophy on stage. She said in interviews that it didn't really feel like that win. It didn't feel like that big moment. Obviously it was special, but you're not there on stage. You don't get to lift the trophy with your team. So now I think this year means even more for her to try and lift that trophy again.
And it means so much more for the team as well, because they want that moment for her too. They want to be beside her. They want her on stage when that moment happens. The question is G2 gonna let it happen? Because this rivalry here, this is a match that could pretty much be our grand finals here, Mitch.
Yeah, and it's not just about that, right? You got to think about the fact that they're out for revenge, not just for themselves previously, but also for Falcons. We haven't seen much of the NA versus EU in the high-stakes matchups, but we've seen Falcons go down below and fall very quickly in that lower bracket. And it was Shopify that sent them there 2-0. Wasn't what we wanted in the EMEA region, and someone has got to draw blood back.
Yeah, but you have to hand it to G2. As you mentioned, Mimi, that Mimi and Petra are just like amazing here. And Petra in particular, on their previous series, had such an amazing game, especially on Sunset, where you actually have a particular spot where she is like so memorable that I think the community has like christened the Petra box at this point.
And as they should. I mean, Petra deserves it. She had a lights out game in that one, has just been incredible throughout this entire tournament. But it has really been about Petra and about Mimi for G2 thus far. I'm still waiting for some of those new players this year to step up and show us what they were doing regionally and not have to rely as much on Petra and that box.
There it is. That is the spot. It is now called Petra. You know how like teams kind of like name certain spots after certain pros? It's like Fnatic will say, oh, go plant Nats or something. And now we have Petra.
It's funny though, because there's only like one, at least in NA ranked, like one pro named spot in the common vernacular, Sub Rosa on Ascent.
Oh,
there's no other one right now to my knowledge, so it would be cool if this one could stick, because new box, so boring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that looking at the value as well in some of the games that they've been having, they're dominating on Sunset, and it's not hard to see why. Eventually, you'd imagine people are going to start to figure out, good chance the Petra's behind that box. She'll have to stop playing that game, much like you brought up Nats, and that is something that happened to him. He had a very particular style, and eventually people started to realize, I think he's behind us, guys. It's like a playing in a pantomime.
Still, to my point, I want to see the other players from G2 show us what they were doing in EMEA. In particular for Rescue today, there's a high likelihood we're going to get a couple Neon maps in this pool, which means she's going to have to go up against Floor head-to-head. And thus far, I have not been anywhere near as impressed with Rescue's Neon compared to Floor, who is, I mean, a force in her own right on that agent.
Obviously, I always want to argue it back, being from EMEA, but I have to agree with you. I think that Rescue, regionally, such a dominant player, such a scary one, but looking at what Fluorescent's been able to do here on the international stage, as well as all year long, I don't think the performance has been matching up to what we need to see if she's going to be able to push past that head-to-head.
Yeah, and I think that, Mimi, what you brought up about, Shopify just sticking with their roster and, having, basically, they're already clean. They don't need to iron out anything. G2, though, maybe they still do, and we've been seeing that in their performance here on this stage, right? Whereas Shopify, that hive mind is already, it's so ripe. It's 100% already.
The difference, though, for this roster, Shopify coming in, is that 2 years ago when they came to this stage, when they played against G2, they were the same thing. A couple of years into that, team so comfortable with everything about them that they got cocky, they got complacent, and then they lost this upper final. They went down to the lower bracket, and they got eliminated, not even making it into the top 2, which was a huge disappointment for Mel and Alexis. But you've seen how the players have changed since then, and how the demeanor for Shopify is so different from Cloud9 2 years ago. They're treating every opponent as a threat. They're confident, but they're not cocky in the way they used to be.
Yeah, and I mean, the same thing you talk about 2 years ago, 1 year ago, G2 got a taste of that going down to the lower bracket and falling out. It really does seem to be a death sentence, and I expect history to change now. But again, with some of the matches we've seen, Crew pushing G2 all the way to a 13-11, these are scary situations because you're going to meet some of those teams like MIBR who've looked unbelievable. That Zeta game is a defining win for them.
And Zipto and MIBR got knocked down by the two teams in this match, respectively. Both those games pretty close.
Very
there
close.
were opportunities, so it's not a sure thing that you make the finals if you lose this game. This is really important for these two squads.
Well, it sounds as though Mitch is saying that G2 are going to stay in the upper bracket, and earlier we actually spoke with Petra about G2's upper bracket run in this OMEN player moment.
Hi, I'm Petra and I'm a player for G2 Gozen. I'm feeling very great after winning against MIBR. I was expecting a tough match, and after the first map I was like, okay, I'm gonna get the tough match. But it felt more dominant near the end than I was hoping for, even. So I'm very satisfied with what happened on stage. Yeah, Vania and I had a pretty good day, and we sometimes joke about it. If one of us has a bad day, it's usually we both have a bad day. And if we have a good day, we're also together having a good day. So let's hope for a lot of good days.
And now she can tuck in that corner. It's going to be a real nuisance. Low as they are to clear out. Amy's also starting to threaten. They know they've got two MIBR players trapped inside showers, and there they will stay. Jubish from heaven will look to challenge us, at least try and get an update on the situation, but Amy does not let her get away.
I think Shopify is a pretty good team. They have good individuals, and especially Florissant. Florissant is one of the strongest players, and yeah, their micros are also good, so overall they have a good team play. I'm confident going into this match. I know we can beat them, and if we just believe in ourselves and do what we always do, play our game, we can win.
Okay, I'm all set. I think I like this flavor.
Let's
I'm all
go.
good.
What's the movie?
It's this really wonderful film that I've seen. Everybody has been calling it absolute cinema, so I think we should really watch this.
Like, what genre is it?
It's quite experimental. I just want you to experience it because it's something that you really have to see for yourself.
Okay.
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay? Yeah.
Let's get it going.
It's got great reviews all around. So,
Yeah?
Yeah, that's why. Oh, I think it's about to start. Is it about to start?
Turn off your
Quiet,
phone.
guys. Quiet.
What a shot. That's 60 millimeter.
This one's my favorite. Okay, you see that moment? Not scripted. That was not scripted at all.
Improv?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Just like that. Is there anyone like her?
Absolutely not. Okay, this is the beauty of this piece of art. Okay, that one was not supposed to happen, but it was just pure instinct. It was just pure instinct, and she just went for it.
I'm almost getting emotional about it.
It's just
It's so powerful.
No one's.
human
I understand.
reactions.
I understand.
I don't think someone's played like her before.
I don't think anyone will play like her again.
Wow.
It's just super inspirational, and I get really emotional just watching this because it's just so beautiful.
Absolute cinema.
I can't believe it. Oh. It's so good. See, I told you guys this was going to be so worth it, and people are actually saying that there's going to be a sequel.
There's going to be a
Yeah,
sequel already.
There's going to be a sequel to this because like everybody's wondering like, okay, G2 and Shopify, and you know I'm really curious like what the critics are going to say, what the reviews are going to say, because we can actually find that out in the results of our Mastercard Fan Poll. That is absolutely right. We have the results of our Mastercard fan poll right over here. Earlier, we asked you whether it's going to be G2 Gozen or Shopify heading over into our grand finals. The correct answer is yes, by the way. That is what you need to say.
I'm quite surprised that it's leaning towards G2 so heavily. I think at the moment, like we've discussed here on the desk, and I think the vibe tends to be leaning a little bit more towards Shopify Rebellion. Good form, a duo, coming back-to-back wins potentially as well. Hit me.
What time is it in North America right now?
Okay, fair quite. I don't know the answer to that, but I understand the implication.
You would have the answer to that.
10 a.m. on the East Coast, 7 a.m. on the West Coast. You think gamers are up at 7 a.m.? The real ones are.
That's a good point.
The real ones
That is
are.
a very good point. That is a very good point. Also, it's like, you know, hey, we just saw that. Do you want to watch more Floor of the Rings? Do you want to watch more of the Fantastic
The
Four?
whole goddamn trilogy.
Floriosa? We need more. We need more of that.
Oh, how long have you had those cashed up and ready to go?
I was so proud. I was so proud. Give that to me, guys.
It was cinema though. There is no player like Flora. I don't know how else you can talk about her besides to just watch those clips and just be in awe.
Absolutely. They went up against Zipto, and you know it's not easy to make a team like Zipto look like that. However, when you do have somebody like Flora in there, we keep talking about it just because she's such an integral part of how Shopify Rebellion actually pull out their strategies.
Yeah. I mean, she's just so important to the team, right? Like, you put her in any position, even if it's like a losing position, she's not perfectly set up. She can still make something of the rounds. And I think there's also a certain, like, fear factor around playing against Floor. She has an aura. You know what she's done to other players, that when she starts to roll, I think there is a real intimidation to that.
I feel it. I feel it. She's already there, and it's like, I don't like the feeling of this when I was watching Zipto take her on, right? But we have to hear what Mel has to say about Shopify's win over Zipto in this OMEN player moment.
I'm Mel, and I'm the IGL for Shopify Rebellion. Our expectations going to the match versus Zipto was to expect everything, expect every peak. Don't be taken like off guard or taken by surprise, because they are a team that can swing you and will swing you, and they can bail out rounds with mechanics if necessary. After our win versus Zipto, I'm feeling pretty good, pretty confident in my team. I think it was good that it was a 2-0, you know, not sharing too many maps and too much info yet.
So nice underhand. Alexis outdone though. I'll tell you, a Neon with a Bucky, but how about Noya with 3?
I'm really excited to face G2 Gozen. I mean, I remember I'd watch Petra and Mimi streams back in the day in CS actually. My opinion on Mimi and Petra is that it takes a lot of skill and greatness to have the longevity that they've had, not just through Valorant, but in games before as well. But I think me and Lexi stand for the new gen and what's to come for Valorant.
I think what Mel said just really sums up the legacy that both of these teams are, you know, looking to build, especially with a match like this. So important as the winner qualifies to the grand finals, right? They want to be able to say, like, you know, hey, we're here to win this all. We are not dropping any single series here.
It is so cool to hear that too from Mel towards the end, that like these were the players that she was looking up to when they were competing in CS, and we're kind of the Mel and Alexis of that game. They've kept that legacy through Valorant and have had such an incredible staying power in Europe. But they've inspired this next generation of players who have come out and, well, gotten even better, beat them last year. And so for G2, I think winning this match, getting their revenge, especially being at home in Berlin, would mean so much to them.
Yeah, and I think a lack of travel and everything like that comes into it in an early tournament, but now they've been here for so long, I think that playing field is leveled a little bit. I am curious to see if there will be some sort of a home field advantage down there in the crowd, if they'll be behind both teams, as we've seen in many international events, or if this is going to be a G2-sided affair.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a factor, right? And I'm curious to see what everybody else says. So let's take a look at the predictions from the entire team over here. I think, you know, okay, let me just check on behalf of Yinsu, I want to check everybody on the side of EMEA. And Kakuka? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Traitor. We have a traitor in our midst. It's disappointing to see. But
Am I crazy to say Shopify is the favorite?
I do agree with you.
I agree.
I think it's clear. At the same time in the EMEA, we have seen many times G2 look a little bit shaky and then come out swinging. This is their moment to do that. But I have to agree with you. The favorite should be, although the Mastercard fan poll disagrees, it should be Shopify.
If Shopify is playing in the form we've seen from them all tournament thus far, I have no doubt that they will win this game. They've made it through these first few games, 4-0. Floor's been playing out of her mind. Mel's been calling a great game. But They crumbled here 2 years ago, and G2 always rises to these games.
You know what? We have no other choice. We have to get this show started. These two teams are going to write the next chapter in their legacy. It's G2 Goes In versus Shopify Rebellion. Game 7, day 7 of Game Changers Championship 2024 starts right now.
Winning the first time last year, it felt like there was a burden off our backs.
Shopify Rebellion are your Game Changers champions!
But now I feel like the weight is back on. We need to have our pedal to the gas, keep focused, keep dialing in, because it's going to be harder than ever.
Shopify in the final round of regulation. Tip the scales.
I've been in the scene for such a long time, and Mimi too. She's one of the biggest superstars in the Game Changers, and a lot of people are looking up to her.
I remember being 15 years old, looking up to Mimi, looking up to Petra, looking up to those teams, and always thinking, man, like maybe one day that could be me.
I'm excited to play Shopify Rebellion. I'm confident going into this match. I know we can beat them.
2 years ago, Lexi and I lost here at their home soil in the house of the Gozen. Last year we finally got them. This one's to settle the score.
Shopify, good luck.
G2 goes in. This year, there's rebels in your house.
Last year, I ended up 4th place. My mindset this year was Sipto can make it to top 3. Very easy.
Zipto!
They locked in and ground out a tough victory.
Sentimento de estar de volta no jogo. Muitos falam que é muito difícil você ganhar o primeiro mundial no seu primeiro mundial. Acredito que se a gente seguir fazendo o nosso jogo, a gente vai conseguir alcançar o top 1.
MIBR, a systematic deconstruction of Zeta Division.
I think the most dangerous player is SRN, but of course me and NR are gonna be stronger.
Eu acredito que a SRN seja o melhor duelista do nosso campeonato. Quando a gente está muito conectada, acredito que nada pode parar. Estamos muito confiantes para enfrentar a Zipto. A gente tem muito conteúdo delas, então a gente vai saber em qual gramado estamos pisando.
MIBR, be ready. We're gonna avenge our sisters in APAC.
It's a match that could very well be our grand finals. G2 versus Shopify Rebellion, two of the strongest teams, not just in this tournament, but on the global stage. You already have champions walking onto that stage as both teams have lifted the GCC trophy in the past. And the team that emerges victorious from this match is one step closer to doing it again. Who is it going to be this time around? That is the big question for this series.
That it is. And looking at this map, Vito, my biggest question going in is how many Neon maps were we going to see in the pool? The answer is 2. And for me, I feel like that is massively favorable to Shopify. They've been lights out on Haven. They've been strong on Sunset as well. I think that's where Mel's mid-round calling and Fluorescent's individual performance is at its peak.
starting on Abyss is very interesting as well. Not just a chance to see Vice, but also looking at the game up against Crew. G2 had Rescue dominating in duels on Abyss. And if we're talking about this, as we have Fluorescent up against her, it's going to be a big battle. So for Rescue, starting off on a map where she's already comfortable is a great first step in this series.
And I feel like G2 maybe have had a little bit more experience on Abyss than Shopify have.
Yeah,
not
for sure.
that, you know, not that exactly Shopify don't have anything up their sleeve, but it's just that in practice, G2 just has seen this more times.
I mean, they didn't even play it in Series 3 for Shopify. Last time they played this map, they were locking in a Vice comp, and Agent, we haven't seen it all this tournament, which is still kind of weird. How good are they actually going to be in competitive? So the Agent select is going to answer some big questions here.
And as we bring it up, indeed, it looks like both teams are playing safe for now. Perhaps not bringing up any of those cards just yet.
Yeah, going back to the boring comp for Shopify that they played before, and just a straight-up mirror here.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. The Yoru from Fluorescent was impressive, but taking this to a more conventional space, it's also not been a map that they've been banning throughout the process here in GCC. Been happy to potentially have other teams pick it up against them or run it all the way to the last of the veto. So I know for Shopify, they're going to be comfortable, but for G2, I think this is an excellent start, and not least to mention that their final map of Sunset looks very strong.
In my mind, this is an absolute must-win for G2 Gozen. If they drop this map, they're going into home territory for Shopify. But this is their arena. They won here 2 years ago, and this is their chance for revenge.
Our teams are set, and it's time for the first game of the day. Let's send it over to your casters. Here's Uber and Wyatt.
Thank you very much, Mikael. We are once again back here. It's an upper final between Shopify Rebellion and G2 Gozen. A new chapter in this rivalry and awaiting the loser. A literal piranha pit there in that lower bracket. Something G2 fell afoul of last year.
Trying to right the wrongs are G2, and a very different trajectory that these two teams have took since the last time they met. Shopify, of course, they won last year in Sao Paulo. They have stuck together with this elite roster, and G2, feeling that dismay at their upset loss they suffered in that lower bracket, have made 3 changes since then. It's a new roster that they're going up against the juggernaut of Shopify with.
Into the pistol we go. It's going to be G2 starting on the defense side, and Amy in his characteristic setup spot here. Going to get eyes on floor early on. Already hear a Sheriff ring out on the side behind them. Some of this utility cleared with a shock down to floor. What a quick strike! And Sarah gets involved as well. It's up to Rescue to hold it down from heaven, and she's done a job. 2 down to the Sheriff.
A lot of damage to Sarah as well. 1 flash to play with for Mimi. Could be used in tandem with the Paranoia from Vania as well as they try and get some space back into this site. Sheriff recovered for Mimi.
2 from heaven. Noya, though, is an issue. She's playing well back over towards Crow's Nest here, and Vania's going to try and get involved now. The shots are a little wayward, though. And Sarah exits the round with 3.
We begin already. Fluorescent, first blood, first round. By far, the statistical leader of this tournament at the moment, averaging 330 ACS up until this point. Obscene. First bullet, a headshot straight away.
And she is 16-5. First kill, first death in their win over Zipto.
Just mental stats, eclipsing even her performance from last year, where she dominated the competition.
330 ACS average. To put that in perspective, I think Rescue's best game saw her at, what, 285 CS? So we are seeing floor well and truly above the curve here. Got a customary jump off the map, gives G2, don't want to give up the weapons, orbs, you name it.
We don't get paid by the second. Nope. So, not mad at that. Not mad at that. Already, look at the buy here for G2. Rescue with the operator. That was the weapon that she dealt serious damage to Crew with in that recovery they had, that comeback late in that second half.
I'll find their cipher.
Obviously, without G2 being able to plant or to get any kill money, there's a little bit of an awkward armor situation. So that Outlaw actually has some play here. Now G2 are ready to play the game in earnest. Flash here over towards the A main side. That one-way set up by Vania. Mimi able to play off of it here.
Early on, Noya, exploratory in mid, but regrouping with the team. It is a straightforward fast hit. They'll have to contend with 3 defenders, however.
Up onto the boxes already. She's into the mix. Back at the site. Petra's able to find her there from security. Now going to back away up on tower as that is going to be smoked out. 2 players down for G2 though. Another good fast hit from SR, and Petra is picked off through the smoke.
And at the moment, G2, they have no option but to save here. ResQ couldn't get involved in the action. Was posted up towards that B site with the operator. Shopify don't even know that that's on the field at the moment. And for the G2 fans' hopes in the next round, that weapon being concealed may offer opportunity for ResQ to still find an opening pick. Shopify, you know, perhaps a bit too willing to jump peek corners or jiggle, not knowing that that weapon is there.
But really straightforward, right? They defeat the one-way with a cloud burst that gets Floor in. She's able to updraft tailwind onto the site. Really straightforward. Site kits with a jet, defeating that crosshair placement. Very cleanly done. G2 maintain the operator and a rifle into the next.
Nothing out of the ordinary, just the firepower from Shopify on display. It is Floor with another entry kill. Noya actually got the first by just a half second there. I've been so excited to see more of Noya in this tournament, Mitch. I know I've been speaking to you a lot about her when we were looking at this game, thinking about how it could go down, because heading into this, her performance in the regional North American Game Changer Stage 3 was her best ever. She left that with putting up 0.9 kills per round. Obscene stats for a Sentinel main, and the duo of her and Floor being in such a lethal current status is dangerous for G2.
Customary setups here for Noya. She sets the spy cam up and gets a cyber cage to the upper causeway here in mid. Vania going to be forced back here by this flash, but this is all pleasantries being exchanged. This is well within expected parameters for G2's controller.
Just a slower 1-1-3 open from Shopify on the anti-eco, waiting out any potential aggression. And the aggression is the riskiest it could possibly be. It's ResQ pushed up fully with the AWP shot. It just goes wide. Noya, 2 first kills in a row.
That is so deflating as well. G2 getting nothing done on this map so far. Yeah, again, it's a round where you're pretty underarmed, but that was the operator committed to trying to dig out the Cypher. Now SR start to look over the B side, licking their lips. Some of this util over on the side. One of the trips was just cleared. And the recon thrown down over there as well. There's an attempt for G2 to slow this down. Amy's going to have her wits about her, emerging from the smokes. They're able to find just the one. This will be the post-fight with SR with 4 to play with. And none of those rifles left on G2. They'll have to recover the one at Heaven, but it's in an awkward spot.
If he's got that one recon ready to go out, that is going to trigger the retake. Here comes that 0 point as well in tandem.
Mimi has a rifle. Here they go. Mimi with the spray down finds Mel. Floor, though, holds her ground and receives Petra's swing. It's all up to Vania here with nothing but a share of Floor. With the tailwind, actually gets taken down.
Nice teleport across. Might be able to recover a rifle here, but from this position, it is just so...
You've got to get out.
Damn near impossible to win a 1 versus 2. You are joking!
5 points of health for Vania. That is not a situation you see the solo player win. Spike is planted at coast. Time is short. Double swing. Unreal.
It should not be winnable. Was just trying to finish my sentence about how that should be the case. Outrageous from Vania. A player that has been so crucial to the success of G2. Such an intelligent player. SR double facing that as well. Mental.
Oh my. Do not forget whose house you're in, SR.
Absolutely mental. Was feeling a bit deflated for G2 as well. What a way to capture some lightning in a bottle. Start feeling good after not getting anything rolling up until that point.
But doesn't strike twice. G2 at least now have the weapons, the full buy to work with. Shopify, of course, at a decent run. Economically chilling. Okay, that shock doesn't clear any of these trips. They're a little bit deeper onto the A site now. It's going to be an Owl drone that heads on in. Floor. Standard play, up on the top of container, both cloud bursts expended, and G2 only have players set up in tower here, none in security.
There was a double kill trip set up as well, but it was nullified by just the single shock dart. It's very straightforward from Shopify, but success getting onto the site. Full 5 versus 5 retake.
0 point's going to spot Floor out. She doesn't want to be on such an exposed angle now without access to her abilities, so backs up. Okay. Now Command going to be committed to the fight by Alexis here. This makes it a little bit harder for G2 to get in. And Floor is waiting. ResQ's also gotten in now. SR playing mostly, though, from main in a bit of a post-plant spray down position. So ResQ's got no choice but to go for this. But again, none of those abilities. No tailwind available. Mel with the spray down through the smoke. It's good. And Amy's down to 8. Has to give away a position. It has to get out.
No choice but to run. Fluorescent just playing forward on her lonesome. Finds 2. Average floor round. The rest of the team biding their time in main, ready to just play around the dark cover.
Running into that null command
game.
in the post plant, why it seems brutal for G2.
Absolutely. That momentum snatched away immediately. It is a very straightforward game plan at the moment from Shopify, but these A-site hits do look quite well drilled. And unfortunately, it was a G2 trying to just play off with a kill trip spine, maybe one spam kill while they're going in, and then have a 5v4 retake, but a single shock dart from Sarah removed both of those defensive utility pieces.
And it wasn't even the first shock dart that came through. The first one was for the close trips at AMEA. There weren't any there. Sarah was able to find them. When G2 2 players, yeah, they want to play off the trips, right? But they're both sat up in tower. Nobody on the site, no one anchored there, no one in security. The G2 fully forced into a retake from that point, and, well, Floor did 4 things.
Forced now onto a bad buy as well, aside from Amy, who has that hero rifle. Amy has been such a force in this tournament, really a standout for me. Has just been reliable for G2. When her sight is being hit, she will usually get you that 1, maybe 2. So consistent at getting that first duel win. When things have been tough for G2 when the games have gotten chaotic, she has been the bedrock. And on a map where Sentinel is as important as it is on Abyss, certainly looking to her to continue that performance that she's had up until this point in the tournament.
Alexis only with the stinger here.
I'll find them.
Bladestorm up for Floor. Might see that Vandal given over if there's an extra pair of hands to hold it, if Bladestorm becomes relevant. Can assist for Alexis, by the way. Okay.
Right here. Shot done.
That is the standard Alexis stat line, if we're being honest.
Cam cleared. Okay, playing a bit more forward in G2 towards A-main, at least trying to play around that orb, but they do secure it. It's Mimi getting 1 step closer to a null command, which would be great to stuff these fast attack side hits, but won't be online this round.
0 point for the reclear from Shopify Rebellion into A-main, gathering up for the hit here. Again, a couple anchors to deal with. These hits have been so good. Can G2 really stop them on the bad buy?
Okay, Mimi's ready for this. Floor! Can she get there? Petra's able to avoid this.
Oh, that is hard work!
Floor is slowly going to sink it down. Meanwhile, though, Petra's been felled. Vania has to step forward in the dark cover, but it's going to be Mel and Sarah that get there. Floor eventually has to give it up, but Amy will again be in the unenviable position of having a retake against SR. Okay, we slurped the silly sauce that round. That's fine.
The G2 are really going to need to find a good timing window to stuff this Shopify Rebellion A-hit in the choke. Perhaps a well-timed 0 point from Mimi or the null command that she's going to have coming into this next round. The bread and butter of Shopify are these straight-up hits. Their scaling is so precise.
And there's no psych util on that side. There's no risk of running into the trips. Amy's operating.
Playing right now. Holy
No, and that is the iconic Alexis Valorant, that real Discord kitten gameplay. All assists, floor go kill. That was the idea when this team was created. You have the 2 experienced vets, the duo in Alexis and Mel, setting up the talented young Fluorescent.
Is that not what G2 is looking for as well? To set Rescue up to be that player for them.
It absolutely is. Very analogous to the team building of Shopify.
She has 22 matches, I think, before she joins this G2 roster, right? Another extremely talented young player. It's just a matter of getting her online. It was here where Rescue popped off for G2 against Karun Blaze. Once she got an op in hand.
Here is this double face setup. Contact is going to be taken by Vania, and then Rescue going to swing up top while the crosshairs are focused a bit too low. Floor already tagged. There's the swing out, not able to find it. Danger as she's tagged up, has to retreat.
She's going to go for it. Still, despite this, here comes the Hunter's Fury. Oh, Sarah gets a brace of 2. Rescue and Vania both perish to the Sova ultimate. Floor just had to disco dance out there in the middle of the B site.
G2 are really struggling in the First Blood game right now. It has been all Shopify. Floor or Noya, the 2 of them, deadly on these execs. Or in the case of Noya, picking up one of those lurks on one of the prior rounds, an aggressive maneuver from G2, and we're just into this situation that I feel like we've already seen many, many times, which is the last couple G2 players who were drifting towards mid or are anchoring the other site. They just have to save.
Amy has not been able to play the game. She has been rotating into side, which is definitely the Sentinel experience, right? But SR's utility jump, Sarah's utility jump, especially over onto the B site, was devastating for the embedded defenders of G2.
Amy can hear the horde of players trying to rip that gun out of her hands. They won't be able to sniff her out. The Shopify economy, obviously, after this string of rounds,
booming,
out of control. 7K minimum for everyone. So they are going to hunt every rifle, every round. What a two-piece.
This is no way to go.
What a two-piece. Hunter's Fury is just perfect.
And you just jump scared me.
In a position like that with a double face, G2 are simply playing to fight them in the choke, to stop them, to get the kills, but they right now are not hitting hard enough individually. The shots are not connecting in those situations.
Okay, we actually have a dark cover additionally committed to mid this round on top of the cyber cage placement. Mimi cannot play off of Vania here. Vania also can't clear that. I'm just going to keep her off the angle for the time. That's all. She's jump peeking to try and get back on it here with Red Q. Blades are at the ready.
Is this 1-3-1 setup for G2? Amy Hero rifle anchoring towards B.
SR know there was a recon just fired out at A main here. Mel sees everything that she has to. This definitely keeps SR confident in this push towards A and elsewhere. G2 don't know where to put themselves.
Yeah, the teleport for Mel has those 3 in mid from G2 scrambling on the defense. As the hit comes in, here's that dash from floor, this time into heaven. Bit of a variation.
Catchy with his out! Res Q's not ready for it! That is devastating! Petra, no, you know. Okay, moving right along. It's Mimi with yet another one. And Mimi with 3! Utter pandemonium on the A site! But as the smoke clears, clown noses or otherwise, it's G2 who emerges.
Gravity is the worst enemy of Shopify when it comes to the A site, evidently. Second time.
Just wants to keep him down, man.
Someone has taken a little fall off the map. Those shots for Mimi were outlandish. That adjustment up top.
Explain this to me like I'm an average slicky chatter.
You are joking. And that was after Shopify conditioning on these A execs with Floor doing that standard dash updraft onto the center box, this time into heaven through the dark cover. Mixing things up, looked like it was going to work to a T.
Explain it to me more like I'm a TMV chatter, but I'll take it. Either way, once again, SR with that 1-3-1 setup, this time actually really stepping in the mid, really looking to take up this position. Flora's playing so close.
Just playing off that dark cover. Standard trick to watch mid, though, from Amy. Passive information as Noya, for the first time, really adventuring through the vent towards A.
Oh, catch on Alexis here. Oh, she's not able to get away. Petra speculating there from Spawn's able to find one. But Flora is already the cat amongst the pigeons. Then she's awful hungry. But the catch from Rescue absolutely flattens her. Noya backs off this now, realizes there's not much more to be done here, but B is open for the taking. Just the trio left here for SR. And Mel will play forward to receive the rotates.
Do not go airborne in the vicinity of Rescue. How does she keep getting away with that on this map? Petra on the swing. Shopify trying to get aggressive here, trying to fight forward. Noya!
They got Mimi, she does go down, but can be brought back. It's up to Mel here. Depressed on the side, recon to spot around. She has to back up, but Petra ends with 3. It all starts with that Hunter's Fury that lights up Alexis. G2 clawing back these rounds.
Yeah, more than a sign of life. They're feeling rejuvenated. Rescue certainly quiet so far. Makes her presence known with that little air shot no scope. So sick.
Floor thought she was slick.
That is a way to get the confidence up. Headshot, no less. That's crazy. Petra getting in the mix here as well has been a standout in the fragging department for G2 in this tournament.
She's been on Initiator, but has had the same average ACS as when she played Duelist last year.
It's just crazy. And she does play that Initiator like a Duelist at times, but when you're hitting the shots she does, you just can't be mad at that style, that confidence. Again, Noya prodding towards mid early.
Petra gets forward here and we'll clear that. No camera here for SR. Some trips to be cleared here, so Sarah's on deck now to do some janitorial work.
They're likely going to go for this one close and does right that initial trip.
Not the second
though, yeah.
Falls in though, already back in a tower, but Petra's ready for it this time. Look at G2 embedded on this A side, refusing to give an inch.
Dark cover gives her some room to work with, but Mel has to emerge from one of her own. Petra's tucked up here in this corner and sees Sarah coming almost a mile off. And then it's just a bit of Aimlabs for Petra.
G2 really have made the proper adjustment now. When Shopify are allowed into the site, we saw how excellent their scaling was, swinging off each other. Those timings were as tight as they get. So what is the adjustment from G2? Just don't let them do that at all. Fight them in the choke. Anchor those sites hard together.
Petra leaning over to put on her jacket. She has been ice cold. Look at this. This full commit. Also, that second trip never fully cleared. SR never really get up on that site.
Vania gives such good dark covers for her team to play around, by the way. So effective. Such an intelligent player. Have really been blown away by her. She's not always the loudest because she doesn't play the game in a flashy way. The impact is immense, yet so understated.
She falls back. She doesn't step up to try and take these high-flying duels, does she, Wyatt? We saw this on Sunset in their previous series. Selfless player.
Absolutely.
Still able to get like 26 kills in regulation, of course, in that game, despite being selfless.
On
the most dependable, on her birthday.
Nice little birthday gift.
One of the most dependable, low econ players you could ask for. Does not require a setup from her teammates at all. Just a dream controller player to have on your roster.
And how do Shopify adjust out of this timeout? What does Effys have to offer the team? Clearly these straightforward hard A hits are not working. Perhaps they'll try to exploit the rotations in that way though, now that G2 are intending on really stacking, fighting some of these sites aggressively. Can attempt to manipulate that. They have another buy, their economy has just been so good, making it challenging as it could possibly be for G2.
And Amy's really been varying these trip locations on the A side, so Sarah's had to really use her noggin to try and clear them with these shocks. Slower start to this round here for SR. They know there's a good chance they're also running into the op. Rescue is maintained, so how do they avoid that? It's a pertinent question. Rescue's all the way pushed up on that big extremity, so that's dangerous for SR.
This time they have that two-player insertion onto A. They've left floor there, with Alexis ready to just swing off any contact. Well, they pressure towards mid, Noya making noise, trying to feign that they could be exploring forward, but look at how close Petra moves up on the minimap in mid right now, retaining good information from G2, allowing them to rotate towards A again. There are 3 players from G2 on A, prep for the hit.
She's going to be fighting mid. Noya wins it out. What she can do with this, she's going to go over towards tower, but then we're going to watch the side itself. Here's that null command thrown out, but Floor does not care. She's in there. Vania here from the top of tower. Can't do anything either. She tries to peer in over the fight, and SR just walk up
30 seconds
and take
left.
what they want.
Noya really cracks the site open by dealing that death blow to Petra in mid and then presence through the vent. Rescue forced to save Shopify out of the timeout, winning that round. It's really just Noya finding that a great entry and all of a sudden applying pressure to G2 from all angles that throws some serious disarray into the A stack.
Vania was poised there to really disrupt what SR were doing, but because Amy so quickly, or Noya, excuse me, so quickly got up into tower from mid, there was no opportunity for that.
Yeah, all of a sudden that crossfire is just fully broken, right? Final round of the half, full buy for both sides. Off again for Rescue. There is that crucial kill and then the push into vents from Noya.
It's all there, man.
Once again, the rest of the team scaling forward. That flash comes in. Unfortunately, that was a team flash too from Mimi onto Vania, which is
nice.
really unfortunate. But even regardless, Noya's just ready there for the backstop. Perfectly executed.
It's too much pressure for Vania to make something happen there.
Yeah, Shopify still doing really well with the first kills. Entire team gathered up at B. The 0 point going to catch the ops here. A lot of players.
Get out of my way!
No 0 point on Rescue, so she can get out of here. Okay, didn't have a tower room ready, but can back up behind the Cloudburst. Floor wants to try and chase, but Rescue gets out of sight. It's Mimi at Coast, takes down the Jets. Only 3 left here for SR. It's gone horribly wrong for them over on this B side.
They haven't even been able to scale forward. They can't even attempt to trade this. The dark covers are now thrown down as well from Vania to keep them safe. Slowed down now are Shopify in the mid round. No map control. Have to go exploring. Have to find an opening forward.
There's so much to re-clear. Bell just has to grit her teeth and swing that one. She has been allowed to get up mid. It's an annoying one way, which Mel probably has the disrespect too. She's just going for it, Wyatt.
No trips to deal with at the very least because Amy has been so focused on littering that A site with and just intuition, timing, experience.
Here. And extrasensory perception on top of that.
Petra is just too locked in at this tournament.
What do you do about Vania? She's big chilling, yep. Hold the angle with the operator. Mel at least able to get something here, but hit with the paranoia and forced her back away. Petra puts it to bed on the end of a Hunter's Fury.
G2 coming back into that half with some serious strength. All of a sudden, they went from not connecting a single shot to out of a timeout. Huge adjustment. ResQ hits that insane no-scope not long ago, and after that, really begins to feel it. Pressing forward with the operator on that final round.
30 seconds
and some
left.
good adjustments to shut down those strong A execs from Shopify by just getting aggressive, fighting them in that choke as a team, finding kills together and with good crossfires. We've got a game on our hands. Was worried for a moment.
All right, close half it is. We've got Yinsu standing by with some of our co-streamers in the arena. So Yinsu, take it away.
Some Valorant royalty here streaming in the arena. It's not every day we get Coach Potatoes here on site. We've got Sliggy and Minnie here. And since, you know, you guys are known for your watch parties, your analysis, I thought I'd pick your brains a little bit. Because on a map like Abyss, we've seen teams that usually like to experiment, you know, Shopify running the Vice and so on. Now running this defaulted comp that everyone likes. So Sliggy, why is that?
I think when I look at Vice on this map, I think it's like a one and done. It can be antied pretty easy. Like the wall kind of protects you sometimes when you know where it is. So going back to the, I mean, this is the Ascent comp, right? That everyone runs on Ascent. We know how fluid it is, how many times it can be run, and just how many different strats you can run with this comp. So it's just better for these kind of tournaments when you're showing a lot of footage.
Is this the best comp on Abyss?
I'm yet to make a decision on that. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, this is a guy that ran no smokes once upon a time. So, and Minnie, looking ahead to the second half as well, it looks a little bit dicey, a little bit for G2. How can they pull this back on their attack side and make sure they bring this home?
I think the first thing is to remember that 5 rounds on defense of Abyss is more than enough. And then after that, as soon as Fluorescent gets the AWP, we need to avoid Fluorescent. So do the old avoid CNED strat with avoid Fluorescent, I think.
Okay, so find floor, run to the other side.
Run to the other side, 5-person hit that side. Let's go.
Okay, love that. And lastly, you said we there. You said we. Are you here to support G2 Gozen?
Yeah, because I like flaming them. So when they win, I can flame a little bit, you know? So. Yeah.
All right, G2 fans, how do we feel about that? Minnie is here to support G2. Sliggy, how about you?
I'm just here for the game. I want a third map. I'm always like this. I always want a third map.
I'm going to have to put you on the spot here.
Okay, well, I'm going to say Shop's going to win.
Oh, how do we feel about this? Shopify fans, Sliggy is backing Shopify. Okay, we'll find out in just a moment and see which one of these guys is right. Let's get back into the game.
Good to have the chance to explore some tactical nuance there with Sliggy and Minnie.
Yeah, two of the finest minds in Valorant really dispensing as much knowledge as they can. Very, very helpful.
Hope you all had your pen and papers ready for that one.
Simply avoid a floor.
Sometimes the simple trick is the best one. Here we go, second half of Abyss. Shopify with 2 rounds of surplus, but that second half of the first half for them, not great.
G2 are certainly known to play a slower style when it comes to attack. They've displayed that in this tournament.
Petra's our drone interrupted there as she is subjected to the 0 point of Alexis. Floor again in that customary little pinch spot there.
Alexis looking to get that 16th assist with a little pop flash for floor. Takes a bit of damage from Petra.
What was that?
Just drops into an engagement, reckless, punished.
I think it's a misconception from Petra. She just does not expect there to be another there. Very exposed in that position. He's going to hurt you in an important round like this.
Lacking the recon now for a site exec will be to deal with. ResQ tries to find timing.
I respect it.
Diva shut down. Oh, what a shot from Amy. Sarah's just holding this angle. Could get punished. Doesn't. Drops down. Has a teammate now to crossfire with.
Paranoia might have hit Sarah there, but Noya is also going to get hit by one herself. Amy's low. Sarah 2 bullets in the chamber. She's going to need a couple more than that. Quick reload. Vania is going to be held though by Mel. Nice little double stack here.
And look at that, just rotating into the dark cover together too as the rest of them flood in to punish the last, win out the round. And G2, that was a little bit reckless on the B sites to open things up. I'm not mad at Rescue trying to find a window to salvage that round by pushing up into this engagement, but just loses out the duel. Had you won that, the complexion of the round is flipped on its head. No questions asked.
Alexis so dependable there over on that B side. Despite 15 assists, she's able to get involved properly now.
Floor pushed up with the Outlaw, many glasses. Nice adjustment!
She gets away with that, unreal! Rescue's able to pursue, but Alexis can pick up the angle. Hey, okay.
Even on an anti-eco, just giving us something to get the heart pumping a little bit.
Definitely get the heart racing a little bit, just the lane correction there with the second shot from the Outlaw. Great connection, of course, no armor really here. And off we go. Yep, that's about it.
Standing.
Don't need to hand over any more orbs. And there you go, another round here for Shopify. Really, remember, both pistols won by them in this game. Gives them a huge little boost here now. It's a 4-round lead.
All of those bonus round guns were recovered as well. Noya made her way over there to get the Outlaw, throws it back to Fluorescent, who's
not the best round for it.
Top fragging in the server, 14 kills.
And now, of course, Fluorescent needs to be hitting the headshots.
They have Mel's respect.
I think she has to respect it.
Okay, into the buy round. All heavy armors for G2, so they're not susceptible to the one-shot of the Outlaw, which is positioned over on the B site. Drone getting cancelled by that 0 point from Alexis, who again just has his pop flash ready for Floor to maybe swing wide or off. But currently this is watching towards heaven where Petra is beginning. Flick shot! Just goes awry, forced to drop down.
These have to be headshots from Floor here. Well, they should be happy with a bit of damage, but G2 unscathed, been able to push right up to the line of scrimmage on this B side. Alexis knows she's about to get some action. Reveals herself there, has to. Rescue's already pushed up on that left side. Either way, she's in trouble. Good pinch there from G2.
What a well-timed Molly, and in the middle of the map, Amy biding her time. And now look at the response from SR. They're so concerned about where she could be. And just going to fall back. Play this a bit more passively.
There is Amy now emerging into the double face. Okay, 1 for 1. That's not bad for G2 on a round like this. Still 4 rifles to play with. Fluorescent, no real reason to maintain this weapon into the next round. See what she can get done with it. Mimi crouches into that one. Paranoia comes in, Floor trying to reposition behind that cloud burst. She has a crack at this. Ooh, she had a shot. Rescue is able to stop her in her tracks though, and now Mel on the late flank will fall.
Seeking to do damage, but shut down by Petra. I love that mid-round adaptation from G2 Gozen, slowing things down after that initial foray of gunfire coming in from the defenders. They contact into the site. The molly was perfectly timed to just rout Alexis. Ends up going straight into a couple crosshairs from the other side of that G2 push. Lovely stuff.
Amy was able to do so much through mid that round. SR though, of course, can buy.
Big action in mid. There's going to be a deep flash from Alexis as Floor deep past the smoke. Recon as well. Look at these abilities in succession, but it doesn't result in a kill.
Now Floor realizes I think she's done the best she can there in mid. Takes a chunk of damage. Now give up a lot of the map here. SR move back to spawn to try and give themselves decent leeway in terms of rotating to these sites. It's a very embedded Noya over here at 8.
That's the kind of play that G2 really never went for on defense. They never did something as proactive to kind of instill that fear in the mid player. Amy has to be weary when she's solo there that an early push like that could come.
I mean, SR don't want Amy trying to take liberties in that part of the map, so some conditioning early is important. There's that same molly. Looks like it quite hits there. Mel is unperturbed there, sitting behind those boxes. Petra makes her way in, knows there's a camera up to the right. Noya has to get ready here from security, but there's a recon that needs to be cleared. Here's Sarah trying to light them up.
Noya's actually trying to get back into the site right now, fighting off the cage, finds the first.
Okay, Vania's able to trade it at least, but Sarah's still undetected here playing from tower. She knows heads are going to be swung in her direction though, but she takes the first clean off the shoulders. And there's Rescue and Vania having to face this down. You cannot be letting Sarah get so much value there. 2 kills for the defender, and now it's up to Rescue. Spike in hand, sure, but 3 assailants to stave off. And there it is, Floor gets it over with real quick.
There was just simply never be an opportunity to plant the spike there. What confidence from Noya to stay in. Sarah trying to fight from heaven, but can only spray through the dark cover. Things just get sloppy with the gunplay, man. That's really all it is. She's got to be dealt with faster. And Mimi was trying to go for that late flank in mid as well. And Mel had the awareness, heard that rotate. We're going to get the timeout called as G2 are in some serious danger at the end of this game.
This is an SR timeout here. Knowing that they've kind of...
That's an SR time.
Yeah.
Wow.
They've knocked G2's economy down. There might be a set play in the works here for round 18. Oh no, okay, it goes to timeout. We've had a correction there.
Never mind. Small correction. I was going to say that would be a crazy time for the timeout. Yeah, it is Gozen calling this. They're headed into this with an eco. They're going to have a bunch of sheriffs. Of critical note, though, is how close several of their players are getting to the ultimates. Crucially, it's the null command, the initiator ultimates, right? The null command and the Hunter's Fury. They're going to want to try to feed the orbs over to Petra and Mimi.
The dynamic duo, the one that has been the beating heart of G2 Gozen over many years. Two that have stuck together and had teams built around them time and time again. For the one purpose of a Game Changers Championship. They've had it before, they tasted that victory. 2023 was a bitter pill to swallow. This time, they'd love to avert having to subject themselves to either Zipto or MIBR in the lower bracket. They'd love a clean shot into the final.
They don't want to feel that pain that they suffered last year again. But Shopify sent them to the lower bracket and they were dealt the death blow by Brazil. There is certainly potential for history to repeat itself. The form that we saw MIBR in, a dangerous prospect to lose here. You want to get into the finals.
Mel here, about to see a smoke being placed towards her, but the one she's anticipating, and there's some pings around a potential trip location. What a stunner from Mel. She's solo in mid right now.
Just some awareness, but also why not go for the spray when you've got the Phantom through the dark cover?
Play off this at all. Okay, there's a ping. Amy blocks it down there for that long range, but Sarah's at least going to be there for the trade. She is low though.
Just feels the need to fall back. Here's that drop down for Petra, who's just trying to pre-fire. A little off angle.
So hard to rattle Sarah. She's ready for anything there.
This is scary for Shopify. G2 have a fair bit of map control, getting so deep in mid. SR looking to re-clear Sarah on the peak. That is
on the move.
So dangerous.
This is enough to keep Rescue interested. She knows that she can drive a wedge here between both halves of SR's defensive resources. Floor, getting ready here. There's a ping, there's the shot, Ed's 2 shots, 2 kills with the Outlaw. And now it's up to Rescue, will got away up mid. Very much into the cookie jar here and is dealt with Floor. Now has to go over to B, recover that spike.
This is so winnable, so winnable for Rescue. One of the new additions to G2, their most inexperienced player.
Alexis was so flush with utility here. Sarah's also got 2 shocks. So here's the molly to keep Rescue off this line, but instantly she reassumes it. This might catch SR off. The swing is perfect! And the young Turkish duelist comes alive when it really counts.
And that just feels like a repeat of history from that first half. The 1 versus 2 double spray down that Vania had to keep them in the game, and now Rescue propelling them back into things with a broken economy. 1-to-1, the same situation. Sarah solo on HP there.
And it's a trip around the world for Rescue on that round. She goes all the way up mid. Watches the last 2 teammates of hers sort of get flattened by Floor and comes out with 3 kills for a beautiful Mastercard Thrifty.
And you mentioned it earlier, a player that had only competed in 22 matches before joining G2. Has never been on a stage like this in a game with this level of magnitude.
Petra not interrupted this time. There's no 0 point to stop that Aldrone. Noya also loses her camera at B. So lights out a little bit here for SR, but the trips are still in place. That one there is an anti-jet trip that Petra will just limbo under. That's a lot of cyber cages.
A lot of defensive utility. Yeah, Shopify could really be rotating all the way back side towards coast. Petra finds Noya on that exact rotation floor with the Blade Storm. Dangerous for G2.
It's wayward, it's haphazard though, Flora. Not able to take any kills with those. Alexis playing up close with the Sheriff here. There's an opportunity, a timing to be found. One is good. Rescue able to hold it down from Coast though with that op. Still no plant. Spike not yet down. Oh, Amy's all about it.
That's all right. G2, they slow things down. They allow Shopify to flood in before overcommitting to the site. And they deal with the Shopify players with those superior weapons playing at that long range. Do not let Rescue get rolling with the operator on attack again. They were down against Crew earlier in this bracket. You felt like they were on the cusp of being dealt that upset loss straight away, but it was Rescue dropping 18 and 8 on their attack half to bring them over the finish line.
She's doing it again. 15 and 11 for Rescue, that operator has been the difference maker and is still in her hands. Floor playing close, looking for a timing off this. Yeah, Amy's just got too much to juggle there. The rest of the Hunter's Fury just used for reconnaissance purposes. Rescue considering a fast hit here, but at 0 point comes in. Her wings are clipped. Now has to play boots on the ground. Alexis is unsure which side of the container this swing is going to come from. Rescue's inching forward. Tailwind gone, of course. Mel going to sit here behind that dark cover. Eventually, though, that's going to be an issue. They need to find a way to force Rescue off this angle.
Yeah, G2, they are embedded in the site. Look at this position from Vania in heaven. Will have to deal with the drone. She's going to have to go off in this position on her own. Dark cover to play with now. G2 fighting forward.
Jimmy's the shot. Rescue doesn't quite connect. Now the blades are out. She's going to try and go for it. Oh, somehow Alexis gets lucky there, but eventually Rescue claims her. Blades refreshed. Time to go again, but Mel gets it in. Vania's still up there in tower. Petra holding it down from main. Floor gets in, but it's a 1v3. And not even Floor thinks that she has this.
There's just no way. Recovers the op, has to run, and G2 fighting forward with confidence, playing the crossfires in sight. Not allowing SR an inch to get back in. They play to the win con when you've got the deficit in players.
Stopping power of that operator is definitely going to be relied upon for Shopify Rebellion in this next round because they've got not much else to buy up around it.
This really feels like the first time these past couple rounds in this game where Shopify are actually in economic danger. They've been in such control, especially that first half. The string of round wins they were on just meant they never had to eco. They were never in danger of that, which has made this such an uphill battle for G2. And finally now, at the critical stage of the game, they are breaking the economy of SR.
Wild to see what Petra gets to do with a bit of space. She's like a turret, sitting there in A main while the rest of G2 just push up for definitely a wise timeout moment here. Null command pretty close here for Alexis. That's something to think about for round 21. And the op of Floor do a Olympia level amount of lifting this round.
Always strong. Danger is Fluorescent even on. I mean, it doesn't matter. Eco round, gun round, buy round, whatever. Fluorescent can always make something happen for SR. The top-rated player statistically right now in the tournament. By far, the stats are just outrageous.
I mean, 330 average ACS over the entirety of GCC. Absurd. It's just not reasonable.
We'll see if she can take this round over while the rest of the team are relegated to the Sheriffs.
G2 want to be quick about this one, apparently. There's Initiator ultimates now, though, going to be quite a few rounds away for them.
Early recon from Sarah is dealt with as both Initiators stood towards that A site for the Shopify defense. There's going to be
awkward
from the attackers, but it looks like we're getting the patient G2 right now in this 1-1-3 default, keeping their eyes on the extremities on a potential mid-push, something that SR did do earlier in the half. They don't want to give anything away now. They're about to tie up the game. It's their map pick as well.
Down to a minute here. G2 have been meticulous in this round, but eventually they're going to have to wager something. This is going to be it here, I think, behind this 0 point. Rescue getting ready to emerge here from the dark cover. There are two players. Shopify Rebellion set up on this A site. It's Alexis embedded with the Sheriff.
Alexis alone, Sarah trying to get to Heaven Rescue, pressing
timing.
forward.
Rescue pushing up. Okay, Alexis realized now she's going to be pinched on both sides, but Amy and Mimi open up the account. That'll be the A side under full control of G2 Gozen.
They bide their time, G2, to just the right moment to get into the site. There was that delay after the 0 point came out, and it just sent the Shopify defense scrambling. They didn't exactly know where to post up. Floor, though, wants to find a way back into this operator. Can't get the flick in time. Petra too fast with the reactions. And Rescue cleans up Noya. This duo have come to life. They are activated for G2.
And for Mel, she did at least get the operator, something that may be instrumental here. Surely Rescue gets a glimpse of her there, down mid. Mel's about to have her hands full. There's one. Here's the reload. That's just too much. Eventually overwhelmed by G2, and now we have an even game. 10 apiece heading into the 21st.
Operator ripped out of Mel's hands is really unfortunate for that low economy Shopify. They can't afford it into this next round. It's going to be all rifles. Making it look effortless here are G2 on that A site hit. Rescue and Petra leading the way.
They took their time on that round. They knew the op was somewhere.
It's actually this operator that's been recovered and thrown over to Rescue. We've seen how much value she extracts with that on the attacking side. More difficult side to use it. She certainly doesn't make it look that way, though. Floor's pushed up, ready to play off of a deep pop flash that might be thrown by Alexis here.
She avoids a 0 point. I don't think there's a recon bolt going to be thrown that way. So
being queued up.
That's an opportunity to play off this. She emerges and Mimi crumbles. Still, the rest of the action for G2 headed over to the A side as the trips that are laying in their way, and a deep trip on this side as well by Noya.
SR not offering up a thing here in terms of kills, so they want to get back in. Yeah, they do. They want to anchor this. They are so proactive at getting back into these sites. It's Sarah and Noya.
Don't even need to see him to bring him down, Wyatt.
Take flight.
It's just Petra, who's been stunning this week. And has had a great Abyss as well. Up against 5, just as G2 really start to get their motors running. SR are going to be allowed a chance to re-establish their economy. Keep those weapons going.
May have timing that drone, but even still, as good as Petra is, this is just impossible. SR stabilizing,
flawless round
in the
of
lead. And it's just a simple aggressive play. They are mixing in so many more of those defensively than we saw G2 opt for. And at multiple points now, they've caught off players early round towards B. It's been fluorescent. And just those little setups from Alexis. That is the driving force, really, of this team. It's the idea that the team was built around years ago. Just getting this superstar duelist, who at the time was rather untamed in their play, and setting her up with a picture-perfect utility from that experienced duo of Mel and Alexis. I mean, what is Alexis out in the assist now? I think it must be at least 20, right?
Yeah. All right, G2, of course, still with plenty to buy up here, but no operator this time for Rescue. Thinking about the longer game here as we are getting towards the end of regulation.
The economy for both teams is stable at the moment as well. No one in danger of getting eco'd because of this round. Okay. Yeah, they have been drawn on quite a big rotation. Sarah is droning out into the B site. You know, it is possible that G2 could be pushed up all the way there, but no, they are going through the vent. They are getting into the A site. Fluorescent is all the way over in A main.
This is the one part of the map that Shopify Rebellion were not set up to hold, but they're second-guessing themselves.
G2 have an immense amount of map control. They're pressed up to the trip. They might catch a rotate here.
Okay, there was a dark cover at B right there. I don't think SR have any idea what's going on.
Great double face.
They're going to get through. Noya now is going to be next up to deal with this. She opts off it with the paranoia in play. Corner's going to be checked by Petra, but Noya holds it down! Now G2 scrabbling. Amy and Mimi need to put this together, but the spike's going to be out in the open. Alexis knows Mimi will challenge this. But is she ready for the timing? Yes! And now it's up to Amy, who has just recovered the spike in a 1 versus 2.
That reaction time is so sharp. Dealing with Floor in this position is going to be a nightmare. 12 seconds on the clock. Wants to find one kill here because this crossfire is more than deadly.
Most important moment for Amy this tournament. Potentially sees Alexis and recovers in time, but Floor has the crossfire set up. And SR emerged from that round pretty battered, but still victorious.
So chaotic in the mid-round. G2 were in the walls. They were pressed up through vents all the way deep mid. And amongst all of that chaos, disarray in terms of the positioning, Shopify are still able to retain a semblance of control. Floor rotated around the map wonderfully there.
This is gonna be.
It's a tough break there for G2 now. They have to play for overtime. Still not for Floor here and only half armor on Mimi.
They've still got that full buy. It's Mimi though with the null command. That is more than enough to claim an attacking round.
1-4-0 set up here for G2.
And notice because of that null command, look at Noya's positioning. She is so far away from her trip setup on B right now, so she won't get pinged by the range of the null command, won't have her utility shut down.
This, of course, does require you to give up a bit of that mid-map control.
This is a good setup right now from SR. I like this a lot. They have the op controlling A main. They have those trips not in danger of being deactivated towards B, where they have this crossfire set up between that core duo that's been competing together since the beginning of Valorant. Alexis and Mel trying to close out this game.
Here they come. Malcolm are going to be thrown in. The trips are going to be an issue, but Rescue's up on top of the container. Finds one. Mel, though, with the Phantom from below. And this timing might be perfect. Petra's not going to be ready for this at all. Chalk up another one for Mel. Now over to Coast. Trip did catch Mimi, but she's able to respond and find the kill. Sarah doesn't wait for reinforcements, instead wants to go for this anyway. It almost takes Vania down. 2 HP left on the Omen, and she's TPing out of there.
And in the meantime, Amy in mid, now rotating over towards A. Mimi is caught, though, by Noya. We're down into the 2v2. Neural Theft has been activated. How do G2 opt to play this? Vania has no health to work with. Amy is going to have to step up in this situation. They have separated from each other entirely. This is cheeky from Vania. Sat in her own dark cover.
G2 didn't have the time to set up because of that Neural Theft into these post-plant spots.
Floor only with an operator, by the way.
He's ready for this. 2 health and a dream and a headshot. This leaves it all up to Floor. And she's off the map. Are you kidding me?
It is Shopify's worst enemy. Gravity comes back for a third. That's 3 on the scoreboard for the map. And they're all against Shopify. A sad drift to hell. Floor.
To quote a particular med school dropout, may an eagle pluck out my eyes.
Oh, no, no, no. At least the op was saved, I suppose. Floor did end up dying. You are joking, man. You are kidding me.
Well, those that hate winning maps in Valorant, rejoice. It's devastating. We gotta move on. We gotta move on from it.
Perhaps, you know, if they didn't show the laugh, tactical maybe, tough. Crossfire only had an op, ends up saving it. Tactical decision from Floor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, and here's that same play with the recon with the flash D, but this time it does catch Amy. Didn't work the first, but Floor capitalizes. The second time they go for that early round play. Immediate response from G2. Do they try to get into A? Off the back of this, they do. Rescue into heaven.
Oh, I love that. 0 point's going to force her off that angle. Cover still held by SR for the time being. Petra wants a bit of damage. Gets a tickle on Alexis here as Sarah just gets out of the dark cover. There is a ping, of course, on the Sova playing close there, but Petra's aware of it. She's willing to fight anyway. 4 versus 4. Inching forward onto the site now. Okay, flash drive thrown up. Vania might look to follow up on that briefly here, as looks like the plant will be interrupted, as it was only a fake anyway. 0 point for Mimi, sees 2.
So scary for G2 to try to find a timing to plant right now. It's off the dark cover cycle, that one-way drop from Vania.
Noya, it's a big one. Okay, doesn't catch Rescue though, but she gets brought down on the corner. Petra, wild swing. Spray takes 1, takes 2, and Noya's gonna get there. She finds a couple of her own, and now Vania, clutch queen, has it all to do. She TP's back to the site, but I think Noya knows it. She was aware, but she wasn't sharp enough. And Vania bails G2 out again.
She's just too smart, man. Vania is one of the most intelligent players in this tournament. The double teleport fake out. Unreal.
And Noya seems to be aware of it, but she has to be second guessing herself. Vania could be anywhere there.
Not just the chaos of the moment, but the pressure of it in regard to the entire tournament. And G2 again stabilizing by slowing things down. So tough to find a moment there where they can plant safely. It comes when that dark cover is cycled from Vania, placed into heaven. And then again, it just comes down to the gunplay. And there is no one better than Petra right now when it comes to the raw aim. Bar none. She is right there at the top echelon.
Suffice to say, we are getting more than we bargained for today on our first map of the series. At the end of regulation, we are in lockstep. And a timeout is called by G2 Gozen at the very start of overtime here. They're going to be on defense to begin with, clearly planning to try and take a swift 14-12 and get the heck out of Dodge before this gets out of hand. It's more than it already is.
It is their map pick. Bear in mind that we head to Haven next, which has just been a go-to for Shopify forever. They love playing on that map. Couldn't ask for this series to be going any other way. The definition of big fight feel. What a banger.
What could be a preview of our Game Changers Grand Final. Well, either of these teams able to navigate the lower bracket right now. They seem to be the two best we've got here.
Where oddly enough, neither have actually faced each other. Neither of these teams have actually duked it out in the final of a GCC. It's always been here in the upper final. The two most iconic duos in GC, Petra and Mimi versus Mel and Alexis, overtime on map 1.
Remember, G2 took a timeout before this. So what is the plan? Trips over on that B side. The smoke towards tower now, as Petra will look to simply augment their vision. In gets floor.
Just a straight up hit. SR really just need to avoid the tripwires. Losing any players needlessly on entry.
They're gone. They cleared the tripwire. Floor now is free to start to press up to these extremities of the B site. Our drone, though, will be of importance. Floor looks to reposition behind the Cloudburst as a result of that. Paranoia whistles through, but Petra's a little bit too slow to follow up, and it all of SR grouped up behind that container. Sarah with eyes open for heaven, but that dark cover's a problem for her. She cannot see past that. Mel TP'd into it. She's waiting for this. I don't think they're ready for Mel at all, but Floor was able to find two. Mel gets hers over on tower, and SR lock it down.
That post-plant setup was fantastic from SR. You could just see that utility cascading one piece after another, multiple flashes from Alexis playing back towards Pillar that just stifled the effort to come back in, a Paranoia as well. That dark cover place from Mel, love that teleport up just to get a new position to play from, then alongside her teammates who are more steadfast in the site.
That stings. 3 G2 players trying to make their way through Link. Floor just disrupted them.
Blast Cannon Operator picked up by Floor. It sat over tower side on B at the moment. As we get a slow default from G2. Set up in the 2-1-2.
Standard camera set up here. Pretty normal trips too.
Look at how weary Amy is bottom mid right now, by the way. After being dispatched up by some of those aggressive Shopify utility combos earlier in the game.
The cam is quite deep onto the attacker side as well. Mel is looming. I hear this pull out of mid. Amy, careful not to make too much noise. Now the glass cannon operator of Floor becomes relevant.
Jiggling. Alexis with the 0 point, ready to throw that out, and Floor.
Three
off now.
Floor is smoked off.
Can't swing out though. With the dash active.
Floor gets ahead of the smoke, but Rescue ruins her. Okay, Alexis falls back off this now, but not getting the chance to play for post-plant. G2 swarming all over this B site now. Mel suppressed up on the 0 point, but has to remain here on this side, and Rescue has enough time to wind a shot up, and Mel brings it down regardless. Now we're even. Sarah very low.
Really lacking in utility here as well. There's just one Molly for Mimi to work with.
You gotta have a crack. Sarah might here take the aggro and have Mel follow up on it. Amy gets off the angle. Good passive play. Amy repositioning brings down Sarah, but she was the low one. Mimi at 75 here. Dark cover is going to allow Mel to cross and get to coast properly. Paranoia thrown out, but that one way is a problem. Vania's just too sharp for it. This will leave Mel now in a 1 versus 2 for the map. Mimi though shuts it down. And we're going to run it back again.
Huge credit to Rescue for finding the first kill off that Floor swing in heaven. Prepared on the angle. A little bit, nice. You know, telegraphed. You can be prepared for that when you see the flash coming from Alexis. You know, likely that a swing could be coming from there, and deals with the op of Floor, not even able to get a shot off in time. The reaction from Rescue. So good. When it comes to the Jet, she has been elite 2 times now on Abyss. Has really taken the game over, been the star for G2.
Glass Cannon and Floor did not play out the way Shopify would have liked it to. Round 27 here. We have G2 back on defense.
Amy was able to place a pretty deep cam here over on B, which Redscue can try to swing off of. These were the kind of positions that G2 were struggling to get kills on when the game began. It's the reason that Shopify were able to get out to that early lead. They weren't fragging as well as they are now. But at this point, it feels like Redscue is certainly good enough for him to start getting kills defensively. I mean, does go down, lit up by Sarah. Floor on the dash up drive. Petra trying to get back in, but immediately traded out. It's the 4 versus 2. Spike planted by Alexis, and at this point, it should just be a textbook end to this.
Vania and Mimi.
Cover going out.
After trying to find a way to put this together, it's pretty standard. Smoke on that B site would allow someone to get across, or at least imply the crossing of a defending player. Vania's just so far away from the action here. Mimi essentially has to do it alone over at the B side. And, well, she's brought down by Mel. Noya waiting for the emergence of Vania from mid.
Both teams just trading B hit for B hit, finding success. Displaying some real prowess at getting in the site. Didn't have to play a post plant there, but both sides have shown that they know how to set up effectively that recon. I mean, it simply just came down to that. It wasn't broken in time. Rescue didn't even have a chance to take a real fight, lit up behind the cage. Easy enough. Easy enough for SR.
SR, who, by the way, taking that round here, see fit to call a timeout. Fluorescent, 27 kills, 18 deaths here, leading the way by a healthy margin. I think there might be a question of whether or not they want to go for that strat again. Do they put a glass cannon op on the field, or is it rifle and armor for Floor?
And SR have been leaning into the op a lot, which obviously on this map, the sightlines are so long, the weapon thrives. But surprisingly, haven't gotten a ton of value out of it. It's honestly got more out of the Outlaw. I mean, a silly comparison to kind of make. It's just funny that Floor has gotten so many more kills with the Outlaw, I suppose, than the Op. You know, there's not a massive difference in how she's playing with it. It's just that G2 have done a fair job avoiding it, and on some of the rounds, it's just happenstance. Yep. You know, Floor just sets up on the wrong site. G2 simply do not go there.
We see that, like, teams knowing they're going up against an op, they don't even play B, maybe one. It's like a 0-1-4 sometimes.
As we're getting back into it, at least as of now, Floor has the glass cannon operator. They are going for it. Was going to C2. Maybe Rescue wanted to go for the attacking op. She does that a ton. But no, it's going to be all rifles, all of G2 set up at B right now. Again, Alexis to contend with has been that consistent B anchor for SR. Her flashes have been so good at stopping pushes, setting up her teammates.
Can they anchor this? I don't know. I mean, it looks like they were setting up a retake. Rescue is in and catches Noya unawares. Yeah, Alex is completely overwhelmed there over towards the container, and SR with 3 now. We've seen this quite a few times. Have to find a way to retake.
And again, here's Floor with the wrong site. Oh my God, Sarah just cracks that open. No one to trade for Rescue. All of a sudden, they're getting back in. There's a chance.
Still no heaven presence though here for SR. They're all coming out of Link for the time being because Mel is looking behind her. Sarah inches up now, a little bit further. Vania with another dark cover. This could be a problem. The paranoia will go through. And as Petra dealing with Floor, it's just a lot to ask, I think, from SR, as now Mel would have to make it happen herself in a 1 versus 4. Not too shabby, but not close enough.
And at some point here, someone's got to start playing this Cypher retake. It's time to stop anchoring. The execs have just been so good from both sides that these anchors are having a tough time getting a single thing done, overwhelmed by util, forced out of the positions they're intending to play on because the initiator, a recon utility here is so effective.
Felt like SR also not too sure whether they wanted to pull off the site and play for retake there, got caught in between. So we're back to even.
All attack rounds, no one has been able to win on defense in this OT. Early shot comes out from Petra, deals a bit of damage to Noya. Set up that standard mid cam to gain passive info for the attackers.
She is catnipping 3 SR players right now, at least.
See Noya as well. She's placed that trip for a late A push out. Or, you know, if they do hit A, it obviously protects as well from anyone blanking late in the round down mid or from B.
Look at this lurk though.
And right now Petra is sending up a drone towards B, dark cover towards heaven. SR are saying, we're going to try to pressure towards B. It hasn't actually called any rotate of serious significance though. A main now taken by Shopify. They're ready for the split. Look at Noya's positioning on the map. She's in the bed. She's ready to explode out of there when the hit comes through main.
The one way that's going to keep Mimi off that angle. She has to respect it. Dark cover thrown here for the defenders. He's just trying to clear. We're going to be pinged out by this, so it has to teleport, and here comes Floor. Right. So, upper tower taken over by SR, and Vania's already fallen. Mimi just has to try and hold this corner, but the flash drive is going to catch her out. This is clean as it gets. Now Amy and Rescue, who are a long way from the action, need to dial in.
Spike planted.
Shopify have really displayed the depth of their playbook when it comes to this map. They've shown so many small variations of this A hit.
Oh, bro. Much to do about that one there. The null command, of course, committed because Alexis has had a heck of a round. Amy has absolutely nothing to work with on the util front, just raw gunpower. Anna Donlan intended.
Time not on her side either. Cleaned up by Floor. That was why. Just another variation on the A hit, that time working Noya into mid. They re-clear A main pretty late.
Sarah's util usage as well there. I mean, that forces that awkward TP from Vania.
And then it's
Sarah's so sick.
Floor just on that dash up draft into heaven, which is causing a distraction for Noya to pop out as well from the vent.
Guys, and we're back. Okay.
And we're back.
I'll go crazy, bro. That's
And the G2 coaches, leaders, he's having a tough time. And I can't blame him.
Couple more maps to go, leaders, so hang in there, all right?
Okay, huge difference though from Shopify. They don't have the op this time, and Floor is pushed up all the way through A main. G2 in the meantime. Front of the forces, they are just trotting down mid. They're going to have to break this info trip. Sarah attempts to re-clear with the drone. It's about to be split. We are in danger.
Backs out. Doesn't take this fight. However, will there be help from Mel on the site? Doesn't look like it. Rescue's going to get the paranoia. Help. And follow up for the kill. Mel's just trying to stay out of sight right now. Trying to buy a little bit of time, but this is a precarious position to play from. Rescue ups to drop down in front of her. But it's all up to Floor. SR fall to pieces as they try and assemble some form of retake.
And both teams are just rifling through the strat books, finding any page they haven't opened yet, and using that execute. Something totally new from G2 on round 30 of the game.
Well, perpetually revealed here to G2. Would have to do the unthinkable to end the map there.
Now, at this point, if I'm on defense, all 5 players, we're in spawn, let's just go for a full retake. I'm over anchoring at this point. It's not working for
so hard to do against
anyone.
This sober util that both Petra and Sarah are expertly leveraging.
They are such a cool hit. Just swarming all the way up through mid this time. With one player from G2, I believe that was Amy, just...
No one can win a defense side around Wyatt.
Late in main. Not one from either team at the moment.
Well, here's round 31 coming at you, folks. Quite a lengthy overtime so far.
And there's dark covered deep mid placed from G2 this time, but not going for anything in the same vein of the aggression that SR displayed with some of those early dark covers when they placed them deep mid defensively.
Spike dropped. Right, we have shoulder picks here from Petra out on that A side, so she's maintaining current information about that extremity.
Alexis at a casual 26 assists at the moment.
Absolute role player for Shopify Rebellion. Here's the re-clear of A main, which doesn't really get that deep into it, but hope maybe is to keep Petra a little bit busy over there. Rescue misses an opportunity. SR now thinking about that B side.
I must wait a moment.
Right, Amy gets the info with that deep cam that she placed. You can see G2 rotating towards the site.
Tick-tock.
3 players getting close. Amy's going to need to be steadfast in the back door over the top. That flash was perfect.
Hey, Rescue's head is just unleashed sheared off, and Petra now gets active over on the A side of the map, and it's going to be a trade. Floor very low, but that's never been an issue. She's got one more point of health than she needs.
Rotating back to A right now are SR. Vania's getting onto the site in time. She's made miracles happen. Can this be another moment for her?
She's got a paranoia to play off of as well. If she can stick this together, it'll be unreal, but no opportunity. She checks it, and Mel checks her down.
Mel is just so ready right there. Was locked in on that angle, and Amy revealed 3 players facing her down, trying to reposition off the cage.
Too much to look at here, too much to work with.
Just no chance.
And the defense side boys continue for both G2 Gozen and Shopify Rebellion. Now, SR need to win that very scarce defense round to close the map out.
Honestly, surprised to see G2 not really going for an op on one of these rounds.
Spike down.
And at the moment, would love to see them stack one site really heavy with the anchors, op elsewhere, or just play for mid aggressively and pure retake on either side. Just play for delay on A and B with your Sentinel, 1-3-1, and then go for the full retake.
Looks like the only people out there that aren't having fun are the coaches.
No, this is pure misery for Epi's in leader. G2 fast hit onto the A site. 0 point won't catch a thing. SRK are all here. They are ready. Noya is flooding in.
Just perpetually lit up, and here's that defense side round that SR are looking for. And the House of Gozen is back on the market. The highest bidder, Shopify Rebellion.
We're headed to SR's map pick next on Haven. G2 showed some real ferocity coming back into that game. It started slow. Rescue picked things up. You know Petra is always going to be good for at least 20 as well. Some incredible play from both sides. Exactly what you want from this series.
Oh man, this has been
better.
A barn burner already. Classic floor performance. Mel looking incredible, especially over towards that overtime. And Noya showed us some great Sentinel moments over the course of that map. We get to see Rescue also come alive a little bit. Leader looking frustrated there. We're going to step aside, but next, Mika Fabs and the analyst desk will break down map number 1.
Bro, like, I don't want to, like, say this, but I think Petra's the best player in the world.
No, I've been saying that.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it. Like, I don't want to say this because we're playing against her. But this might be the go. I mean, Sarah, we love you.
Red Bull gives you wings.